Good evening. There is a serious issue in our electoral system in the United States, and its name is the Electoral College. By informing you of the background of, problems of, and cure for the Electoral College, I hope you will be personally persuaded that election by popular vote only is the best way to elect our president. First, the background of the Electoral College. The Electoral College consists of 538 votes that are established by the Constitution, and they have the final say in who will win the presidential election. However, only a simple majority of 270 electoral votes is required to elect the president. Electoral votes for each state are determined based on the current census, and electors generally all vote for the president who is popularly selected by the state. However, not all states require this. In fact, 24 out of our 50 states do not require the electors to vote for any particular candidate at all. The Electoral College vote trumps the popular vote. What I mean by that is the popular vote only comes into play when the Electoral College vote is tied, 270 to 270. 269 to 269. Whenever that is tied, the popular vote comes into play. Elsewhere, popular vote does not matter. Secondly, now we'll narrow in on the problems of the Electoral College. If the 538 electoral votes were split evenly across the population of the entire United States, there would be one electoral vote per every 574,000 people. However, that is not how the electoral votes are divided, because they are divided by states and not by people. According to the Electoral College, every state, no matter how small, no matter how populated, receives at least 3 votes before the rest of the votes are dispersed by population. And because of this rule, states like Washington and Alaska, which should receive 1 vote based on population, actually receive 3. And states like Pennsylvania, Illinois, Ohio, and North Carolina all receive 2 votes less than they should be receiving if the votes were based strictly on population. Florida is missing 4 votes. New York is missing 5 votes. The great state of Texas is missing 6 votes. And California is missing a whopping 10 electoral votes if the Electoral College, again, was based solely on population. This uneven distribution is not democratic and does serious injustice to the equality of votes across the nation. Originally, the purpose of the Electoral College was to distribute the votes in such a way that would protect the small states from being overwhelmed by the large states. But does this theory really hold up? Statistics show that in 2011, only 18 of our 50 states were visited by the president. Now, why is that? Even more shocking is the fact that none of the smallest states are in that 18 out of the 50. Again, why is that? Let me introduce you to a concept known as swing states. Swing states are states that are borderline politically between the Republican and Democratic parties. These states, because of the winner-take-all rule, whenever popular votes go from one end to the other, all the electoral votes go towards that way. So therefore, if a president wins a swing state, they have major advantage in the election. Candidates spend the majority of their time in these swing states because of that advantage, and therefore the other states, no matter how large or small, are typically ignored. And a swing toward one end of that political spectrum, again in a swing state, yields a multitude of votes for the presidential candidate that are essential to winning election. Therefore, it could technically be said that the swing states, including states like Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Florida, those swing states hold the power to any given election. However, one may argue that if it was purely up to popular election, presidential candidates would spend all their time in majorly populated cities, because that's where most of the population is. However, does that theory really hold up? According to the census, all top 10 populated cities in the United States, when combined, only hold approximately 7.9% of the nation's population as a whole. Now, an example for the faults of this system, in a very prime, real example of these faults. Not once, not twice, but 3 times in American history, a president has won the popular vote and still lost the election. Based on the Electoral College, a president can technically win an election with only 22% of the popular vote. Yes, you heard that right. Even if only 22% of the people, because of the winner-take-all system, if only 22% of the people of the United States voted for you, you could technically still be elected as President of the United States based on the Electoral College system. This is not democracy. This is not democracy. Now, the cure for the Electoral College. What can be done? What is this cure? Abolishing this horrible, detrimental institution that has lived far past its expiration would be one of the greatest actions our Congress can take to further democracy and equality in these United States. Popular election is the answer. In conclusion, look at the facts, look at the logic, and let us reason together. This is not something small that can be blown off or ignored. This is the process of how we elect our nation's executive leader. And if the electoral process is flawed, then our nation itself could crumble under its fault, and every ounce of democracy, freedom, and equality that our forefathers fought valiantly to obtain could be lost. My fellow Americans, the institution must be abolished. It is time for this corrupt and twisted electoral system to be laid to rest. Thank you.